When I first heard of TEDx and HHS, I was impressed by the availability of such a great opportunity to come and share experiences or ideas about a certain topic. I was interested to participate in the event as someone who has lived in 2 different countries before coming to the US. When choosing a topic, I had a brilliant idea to compare where we spend most of our teenage years, schools. I would look at what schools are like in Russia and explain why American schools are better. I will also share the story that inspired this discussion. I used to study at Moscow Public School, where every day seemed to be a repetition of a past. The lessons were monotonous. All subjects focused solely on learning and taking tests, which many, including myself, didn't like. This disapproval and sometimes negotiations with teachers about how we should be taught sent us to discuss foreign education. My teacher permitted herself to express negative aspects of education in other countries. The conversation with her continued with my question: why do students in other countries achieve great heights, unlike Russians, who receive education merely to avoid disappointing their parents? She had no answer to this and asked me to leave. Not receiving any answer from her was a great evidence that teachers are aware of this problem, but either they cannot do anything with it, or they're not interested in changes in teaching field. Also, that conversation was an outstanding motivation for myself to find information. Having understood and realized this phenomenon in Russia, I began to search information about foreign education. However, I soon abandoned the effort due to the insufficient data or distrust of the sources. Subsequently, due to the certain events related to my family, we decided to leave the country for our safety. After arriving in the US, I was immediately enrolled in school, where I began to understand the true reasons in student results. When studying the differences between American and Russian school, I noticed that American system prioritizes personal interest and wide selection of subjects. The variety allows students to take classes that genuinely interest them and excel in those areas that they like, but were not persuaded to take or prescribed by the counselor of the school. In contrast, the Russian system as a whole is more program-oriented, without the possibility to change anything. My observation about the importance of free choice is supported by research. A 2016 study published in peer-reviewed journal Policy Insights from Behavioral and Brain Science found that when students are genuinely interested in their classes, school becomes a place of engagement, motivation, and effective learning. Moreover, I've seen a certain liveliness in the students. I'm talking about someone's interest in the field of science that they choose. Also, students get involved in learning, seek self-improvement, and participate in projects or contests. They develop skills in critical thinking, creativity, and most importantly, how to communicate effectively. In the long run, personal interest and freedom of choice serve as drivers for active, result-oriented professionals who not only manage to rise through their difficulties, but also aspire to progress in their field. That engagement leads to a community of like-minded people where everyone supports each other. As we have seen, the US educational system revolves around student-centered learning, addressing his or her needs. Legislation such as Every Student Succeeds Act has developed this flexibility into law and promoted personalized learning strategies that allow districts to design programs that align with students' interests. Flexibility also increases students' ownership because it starts with due dates, it grows to thinking bigger about education. Much of that is made up by state's efforts to advance career and technical education programs through which students are able to explore careers that align with their engrossment. A student interested in automotive technology, for example, may be exposed hands-on experience studying that subject through their CTE courses to create a sense of income-generating tasks in the future. So, why does this matter? Understanding the different cultures of American and Russian education highlights a student-centered approach to learning. In a fast-changing world, students should be able to think, solve problems, and follow their passions. The US system emphasizes individual choice and the idea that students must be able to choose what interests them. That engagement leads to a community of like-minded people. As we navigate this fast-changing world, it is crucial to understand the impact of education on our future. I suggest you consider what inspires you, what subjects ignite your passion, and how educational environment has shaped your aspirations. We have to advocate for our education. Don't let it be like in Russia, one-sided and unchangeable. Be creative, think wisely, communicate with everyone, engage with your teachers, share your ideas, and collaborate with your peers. And lastly, create a community that values innovation and nurtures curiosity. From seeing what problems the Russian system has, you should feel yourself motivated and grateful for all the positive learning strategies or magnets the system and the government offer and push.